Hi, I'm Jim from M&M Tools and Machinery. Today we're going to compare the T-Stack Dewalt container storage organization toolbox system, Dewalt's bigger system, they call it their tough system, the Bosch l-boxxes, and the Festool sustainers. We're also going to do a series on each individual case. So the first one that we're going to do is just kind of a comparison. As you can see, we don't have all the Dewalts in stock or all the Bosches, and we're going to do our specific video on the Dewalt when I get a few more of those in, and then on the l-boxxes you'll get the gist from what we're going to do here, except they came out with a new system. So to get us going, I would tell you that my personal feeling is that all of them are awesome, but the Festool, due to a couple of features, is still maybe the most user-friendly. That's probably the best way to say it. The T-Stack is the most budget-friendly. The Dewalt is the most rugged out of all of them, including the Festool, but it's also the heaviest. The Dewalt tough system, I guess I should say. Okay, so the premise to all these organizational systems is basically that they've got the same footprint. The only thing that changes is your height or your depth of the box. So length, width the same, but the box will change in height as you go up in your need for different tools going in them, right? All of these have that same concept behind them, period. They all will stay the same footprint, but go in a different height. And of course, the footprint changes depending on the brand. These two are about the same. This is a little bit bigger. This is the biggest, right? But the concept remains the same. So now we'll get into talking about the different units. Let's start with the Dewalt. So the Dewalt, they're the heaviest boxes. They're also the largest, positive and negative, right? You can fit more stuff in there, but that means the more stuff you put in, the heavier it becomes. It's about 6 inches or so wider than the comparable boxes. The l-boxxes are a little bit bigger than the Fest. The Festool and the Dewalt T-Stacks are the same size. So the Dewalt tough system is bigger. You can haul more weight, but plus and minus there. The other cool thing on the Dewalt is that they are waterproof. So they've got this cool little ring, this washer around the top here that stops water from coming in, and then you've got your air valve right here to let out any air, when you're closing the box. And then of course, on these and on the T-Stacks, you have a place where you can put a lock in the box, which is really handy. The DeWalt cart, again, we're going to do a more in-depth review of these when I get a couple more of these boxes in, but the DeWalt cart is really beefy. So in terms of just sheer ruggedness, I mean, when you, here in fact, let's do that. So take that off. I'm going to open these boxes up so that you can kind of see inside them and see the difference in the thickness of the plastic. This may not be the best comparison because you've got lips on them and everything, but if you're here in Utah, come on by our store and we can show you. If you're not here in Utah, go to your local place. Hopefully they have some. So, all right. Okay. So if you were to look at the different plastics here, the Dewalt's just built out of like a heavy duty, and I don't know what kind of plastic it is, but it's a really heavy duty plastic, kind of like what you see on trash cans nowadays. A little more flexible, which is good when you drop them. Whereas the Fest and the Bosch are very rigid. The T-Stack is more flexible also, but on the T-Stack it's not necessarily out of ruggedness, just more out of kind of cost type of thing. So, and then your Dewalt latches are really, really beefy. You have a large surface area and a big latch on there also. Now, the one thing that's not as beefy on the Dewalt is the way that they attach to the boxes above them. It's just these little latches. I don't think that system is as good as the Bosch or the Fest. The Dewalt T-Stack and Tough system both use that. It works, certainly. It's just not necessarily the best. It was kind of interesting, and I'll talk about this a little more on the T-Stack boxes. We had one box that came into us where this piece wasn't pushed in all the way. And you can kind of see on some of these boxes it looks like they kind of just heat up the box and then push in this holder, right? Now on the tough system, when you look at it, it is much beefier, but you can just kind of tell this would probably be the only weak point, you know. So, but other than that, definitely the most rugged. So now if we go to Festool user friendliness, which is why it's my favorite, I would show you, by the way, every one of these has a cart. Don't buy it for the cart, because you can get a cart from anybody. So the Festool user friendliness is in the handle, okay? So if you look at the bottom of the Fest, it has these cleats down here. Now Festool had a different design, but for the past 2 years they've had this design. So you've got these cleats. If you look up here, that's where the cleats go in, right? So when you put this on here, the cleat slides in there and it's locked in. Done. You don't have to attach anything else there. Now to attach the boxes, you just turn it up. So to the side is when you're locking multiple boxes. To the top is to open it, right? And to the bottom is to close it. Okay? So now I can do as many boxes as I want, you know, up to a certain weight, of course. But it's super easy to use. Now the other cool thing is that you can go like that, and I can open up the bottom box of my stack without any problem. If you have the old Sustainer boxes, that's no problem. You would put those underneath the new design, or the new boxes. You see the little pieces there to connect them to, okay? And then up front here, same deal. So you can use the old stuff with the new stuff. Now this is a cool new little case that we'll talk about more when we get to the Festool directly. Okay, Bosch's l-boxx system is a really cool system. I don't know, for me, they came out with a new thing that's a neat way to store them. But other than that, to me, they don't necessarily stand out more than the others. Not that they're not great, they're great. Their locking system is neat, we'll show you that. The way the Bosch makes itself different is in their locking mechanism. Okay, so you see these two little points right here? That's what the Bosches lock into. So it's really neat. When you go to put your boxes together, you're just going to line up your 2 points there, push it in, and away you go. So easier even than the Festool to lock together. The only reason why I don't think that's better is, in order to get them apart, I have to use 2 hands. Okay, so that's kind of the reason why I like Festool better, is this is a one-handed deal. I don't have to mess with anything special. It's cake. Now the Bosch system here, this is really a cool design. It's just the Fest still has it in terms of, you know, the one-handed operation. So on the Bosch, and I apologize to everybody that we don't have one of these in stock, but on the Bosch, what they did just barely come out with is this little toolbox right here. So what's really cool is you can customize that to hold whatever you want to hold. So this is a really neat idea. You can put it in a drawer, or, you know, with your little compartments. This is kind of more of your normal fishing lure organizational toolbox system. So this is a really cool idea. So that's where Bosch, this setup and the plug-in is kind of Bosch's niche. Other than that, as much as I like them, price point wise, the Bosch and the Dewalt Tough system are not that much cheaper than the Fest. I mean, maybe 10%, 20% or 30% if they're on sale, but they're just not that much cheaper. So enter in the T-Stack system. So these are Dewalt's T-Stack boxes. So for the price, I really like the T-Stacks. Like we talked about earlier, not as beefy or as rugged as the Tough system, but in my opinion, every bit as rugged as, you know, actually I shouldn't say that. These are not going to be as beefy as these other guys, but they're going to be close. So nobody's going to match the Tough system for toughness, hence the name. But the T-Stacks will be almost as durable as these. These will still be more durable. Festool has been doing this, or Tanos, as you can see right here. Festool, Tanos have been doing this for, geez, what, 10, 15 years? So, I mean, they know the art. And the cool thing about Festool is the compound that they put in their material. So of all the Festool that we've sold here, of all the stuff we've had come in, I've maybe seen 2 of these broken. I mean, and we're talking, I've been here 4 years. I worked at Woodcraft for a year and a half before that. So in 5.5 years, I've only seen 2 of these get broken, which is a lot. I mean, they get shipped everywhere. Customers haul them. Some guys are hard on them. Some guys aren't. So they're really beefy and rugged. So they know what they're doing. T-stacks are going to be more your price point. So rather than paying in Festool, 45 to 55 bucks for this size, you're going to pay 30 to 40 bucks for this Dewalt T-stack right here. And then if you wanted to get a Festool box that had these dividers up here, then you're talking, rather than 40 to 50, you're talking 60 to 70, So again, you're going to pay half what you pay on a Fest. They have a lot of really cool designs on the T-stack. I think they're going to come out with more, but even if they don't, even what you have here is great. Okay, so like we talked about, all of these units stacked together, all of them can be used with one another. They're all systems, and if you have certain tools in one or the other, don't be afraid to mix and match. And maybe you can't afford another Festool box, so buy 2 or 3 l-boxxes, T-stacks. Or maybe you really like Bosch. I have a customer who loves Bosch, and so he's bought, 10 of these, and he loves them. Never had any problems with it. Actually, that's not true. These little handles have broken, but other than that, he hasn't had any problems other than that. And Bosch was super cool. They take good care of you. So, get whatever you need for your job site. You might be a Festool guy, but maybe you've got 16 Dewalt recip saws that are going to go onto a job site where they're going to get the crap kicked out of them. Well, then buy one of these, So get whatever you need depending on the situation. All of these systems are great. You won't be disappointed with any of them, period. No matter what I've said here, I promise you'll like all of them. Just come to your local store or come into M&M and take a look at them. And if you have questions, please call us or shoot us an email or comment on YouTube. And if you would like more information on something, not just a question, but more information, period, just give us a call then too. Thanks for watching.